Hey everybody, this is Lisa Baudouin. Welcome to Lisa's chat room. Today is March 2nd, 2025, and in this video, I'm going to do a little bit of a review for the HMP, the Health Management Playbook. That program has a playlist out there that I'm starting to create videos and put some content on there. This is for not just weight management, because I am overweight and I'm trying to lose some calories here and get fit again, but it's also about overall health. And usually for me, I go 100% into something when I do something. And what's kind of cool about this is that it actually ties into almost every single thing I've talked about and every single thing in my life. So it's really kind of cool. But before I begin, I have to disclose, as always, that I'm not an expert in anything. So anything I share with you, if you try it, use it, or buy it, you do so at your own risk and peril. Also, too, I'm not affiliated, endorsed, or reimbursed by any company or product that I talk about in my videos. And then finally, if you get something from this video, please like, subscribe, share with friends and family, click that notification too, and always drop a comment below because I do vet and read every single comment. All right, so what you're looking at right now is the front cover of my binder, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a review, and I'm sorry if I repeat myself in some of these videos. I think it's important to try to touch base on everything, and there's a lot going on. And for me, I've created many binders for different kinds of workplaces. I've literally stepped into places where I've created databases or binders of organization. And so this is what this basically is my binder for my health management playbook. But having a front cover for your binder is really important, identifying what this is for and who you are and who you want to be, who you felt really good at some point in your life and where you feel that maybe that changed course. And here was my picture of me in 2007. I was feeling really, really good. And right after that, some pretty emotional things happened. And of course, there's always emotional things in my life. I'm sure it's the same with you. But after that, things took a toll. So I will talk about that in another video. But creating that front cover is so important. And then even having something on the side of your binder so you know what it is, because sometimes I'll just slide it over here. I do have it out most of the time. Remember, we're setting up our house as a healthcare clinic in a way. That's what we are. We're taking on all these hats. And as I about these videos, you'll understand more and more about the subjective focused mindset, but also to pulling into that objectivity and putting on all these medically inclined hats or roles that we want to take on to be responsible for our own health. And so I'll talk about that more in another video, but as I'm going through, I'm setting things up so that I can do that relatively in a easy way, because I don't like doing things that are really difficult. But creating a binder is really kind of tough at first because I have to put things into place. I have to organize it. And in the Circle of Health Part 2, I think it's the second video it's going to be out in the next couple weeks. I talk about the platters, and the platters are basically what I'm talking about are categories within this program. So getting into my binder, I'm starting to set it up, and I start like this. I just use anything I can, tools to try to help me organize. And so the platters are basically going to be the prep and planning, and those are the categories. The diet and the detox is the next right here. And then we've got the health and the wellness right here. And then we have the test and the evaluations right there. And then we have miscellaneous. So I would suggest that you set your binder up the same way, and you must have a binder. If you're going to follow this, you just have to have one. Why is the reason? The reason is because of subjective focused mindset. We are bringing ourselves further into understanding about our own health as far as looking at it medicinally. When you're overweight, at least in my opinion, I am overweight and I'm trying to lose that weight, but that weight is an indicator of unhealth. Maybe not particularly sickness. People don't like to hear that, but really I'm not doing good. I can't fend off invaders, and I will talk about a little bit more in a little bit here. I can't fend off sicknesses. I'm having a hard time. I'm sluggish. I'm tired. I'm cranky. I realize I need to get in better health because I don't feel good. I can't breathe really good. I can't sleep very well. So being overweight in poundage is it's the spearhead of this. And it's actually a symptom. And really, when we look at it and when we do our circle of health, to be honest, that platter would really go into the and evaluations, really, when you look at it, when you think about it. Checking your weight, basically a vital. When you go into an examination at a doctor's office, they take your weight because that's part of the vital tests. So usually it would be back here as far as for our weight's concerned. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting it in the front of our binder. And I'm right now creating a way for you to make one, a circle of health, but also too, I'm going to have a template that you can get if you watch the one video that's coming out. It'll be in about 2 weeks. It's actually the updated version of the circle of health. I've created templates for you, and so in the description I will actually have those templates that I offer free, and you can just click on it, and for a limited time you can take and go and get it. And I'm just thinking for a limited time because things can change as far as me having the drive, and that's what I'm setting it up on. So you can grab it in the description in the link, and it's a PDF file that you can print out. Well, you know, YouTube might cancel, or I might not get the drive or whatever. So it's for a limited time, and I just say that for legal reasons. But anyway, so I'm setting this all up, and there's a lot to it. Also, too, there's this overall part of the planning. And so when you're looking at health, I want to focus in on what I call the defenders, which that's our nutrition. And here's our new motto if you're going to follow this program. Food is the delivery system for nutrition. Yep, I coined that phrase, I think. I just thought it up. I'm like, that's what it is. It's the delivery system for nutrition. That's what food is. And that's why we have to look at it that way. We have to think about the concentrations of nutrition within the food so that we get the biggest bang for our buck when it comes to the defenders that we need. And here I've listed some of the defenders. We're not going to go through them all today, of course. We're just kind of looking at them because I want to talk about the invaders, really. So the nutrition, we have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is the RPM of energy. And pretty soon I'll have another video coming out. It's actually called Automotive 101. You're like, oh my God, Lisa, what is wrong with you? But it's really good, and it's a really great analogy, and you'll understand what energy is all about. Then the second is proteins. We'll talk about each one of these, by the way, in videos, and maybe even more than one video for each one. But proteins are the structure, function, and they provide stability and maintenance for us. That's the nutrition that we get from them, mostly. The enzymes. Now, enzymes are proteins that speed up chemical reactions in our bodies, and that speeding up is called catalyst. They're catalysts to help us metabolize or clean things out or create things faster. That's what enzymes do. So when you hear that word, now you know what that is, if you didn't. And then fats. Fats are basically lubricants. Yeah, that's right. That's where that Automotive 101 comes in. And they also flush out the system. They're constantly flushing out certain things for us. And they're also storing. They're the energy storage. And again, now you can kind of see why I'm talking about Automotive 101, right? Because when you store things like in a garage, if you have a bunch of stuff stored in that garage, well, that's where our fat is stored within us, our fat cells. So, and then vitamins, which help with growth, development, and metabolism. And then minerals, which are electrolytes. And we'll be really getting into that when we talk about the circulatory system, which I like to make things really easy peasy. When we see the systems, what we'll do is we'll break down the body into 12 systems, and each system we're going to do what we call a bird's eye view or a snapshot, and you'll just see it, and then we'll go and focus in on certain things, and then we go out and in and out. And I talk about that. That's part of that subjective focused mindset where you are focusing in on where it's most important, and then you're objectifying like a doctor would. All right. So anyway, the next thing is the herbs and spices and water. These are things we have to consider too, because these are all defenders against what? They're defenders against the invaders. That's right. And so I've broken down this sheet, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's why I'm just kind of walking through it. We have biological invaders, and basically we have viruses, and viruses are basically non-living. They're organisms that need a host. Bacterias are free-living. They still get into us, and we have good bacteria in our body. Those are probacteria, probiota. But we also get bad bacteria in our body too, infectious diseases and whatnot. Then there's prions, and these are misfolded proteins, and they can cause brain diseases. And then we've got fungus, And fungus are basically organisms that create yeast and molds. And then we have parasites, and they also need a host, such as an animal or plant. So we'll be talking about those as well. I'll be creating videos on each one of those, and again, maybe more than one. But the ones I want to talk about today is the non-biological invaders. And these are the invaders that I have become very aware of. And I was talking to a girl the other day, and I told her my chemical sensitivities are just horrific. It's just so sad. It's very hard for me. I can't go places and just relax. I have to come home and do this treatment. But in a way, I'm glad, because I'm finding out more and more about these non-biological invaders and how they get into you and how they cause disruption in your brain, in your body. And so part of my unhealth, I believe, has got to do with these non-biological invaders. So going through them really quickly here, we've got VOCs, which are basically chemicals, and they evaporate into gases. They're usually airborne. Things such as benzene, formaldehyde, and toluene. And toluene, that's very interesting to me, because I remember back when I was doing drugs years and years ago, and I was involved in very heavy drugs, I knew some Tulio sniffers, and that smell was horrible. So I understand that. Formaldehyde, what am I allergic to? That's right. And then the heavy metals are compounds that are harmful or toxic to health. So those are things such as lead, mercury, and arsenic. And I've really had problems with lead, haven't I? Yep, I've had problems with that neighbor with the garage, sanding down their garage. I got all kinds of probably different types of heavy metal toxins that I breathed in and ate too, because literally that dust was all over my house, so I was breathing it in. Anyway, point is lead, mercury, and arsenic. These are things we want to look at too as far as an invader. And then the final one that we want to look at is plastics. So these I broke down in the plastics. They're basically made from petroleum. And these are things such as phthalates, bisphenol A, and polypropylene. We're looking at this. We come in and then we go out and we think about this and we process this and we say, okay, here's the invaders. Now, when it comes to the biological invaders, our bodies are usually set up to protect us against a lot of these. Not all of them, like the prions, but basically we have systems in our bodies, or we have ways of getting this out. But when it comes to the non-biological invaders, our bodies have a really hard time. They don't know how to get rid of it. And especially, all of it really. And the plastics, we are having a very difficult time with plastics, and we need to get this out of our lives, because once it gets in our body, it's difficult to get out. The body doesn't want to break down plastics. It doesn't know what it is. And as we get into the digestive system and respiratory system, you'll see that and you'll say, oh my gosh. So what we're doing right now in this video is, first of all, make sure you get your binder and make these notes. And after you watch this video, stop the video when you need to and just take and write down exactly what I've got here, because this is what I'm going to be talking about: protecting ourselves against invaders and then sustaining ourselves with the defenders. You see what I'm doing here? That's right. So, but today I want to talk and finish up about plastics. So when you look at your kitchen, what we're doing is we're setting our kitchen up as basically a health clinic kitchen or a hospital kitchen. Think of it that way. And you're going to be taking care of yourself and looking at it in that situation. Your kitchen now is your healthcare clinic's kitchen. And so looking at it, doing the bird's eye view. Remember the last time we talked about the counter space and having enough counter space to be able to do anything. Now what we're doing is we're purging out the plastics. We need to get rid of the plastics, and it's overwhelming because we live with plastics. That's part of our world. So we have to reduce, and we have to reduce chemicals. And for me, with the chemicals, I have the chemical awareness playlist over there, and I'm going to have more videos out on that too. I'm going to have some really nice videos of the different ways of researching, the research methods you can use, from real simple to really getting into it like I do. Basically doing what you call a scoping, looking at a product, saying, is this healthy to the environment? And I don't care what tests they take and say it's okay for you. If it says it's not healthy for the environment, this is something you're going to try to get rid of in your life. You're going to try to remove it, and then you're going to try to buy things that are more healthier. And in the meantime, if you still have to use those products, you minimize them. You use less and less and less as time goes on. Because with plastics especially, they're trying to find a way to get it out of the body. And they actually say whoever comes up with that invention is going to be wealthier beyond wealthy, which I'm really sitting and thinking about it. And for me, I'm also going to come out with a video, and it doesn't have nothing to do with this. It's got to do with tornadoes. I have figured out a way to track tornadoes and to make us safer when it comes to tornadoes. I talked to somebody at NOAA last year, and they kind of blew me off. So I'm just going to make a video, and I'm going to share it with you, and you can decide whether you listen to me or not. And the thing is I'm not doing it for money, okay? I'm doing it to try to save people, to have people have a good, healthy life. Because what is the point of our bodies? The point of our bodies is to create, recreate, and protect ourselves. And not to hurt other people, just to protect ourselves, to keep that protection. Remember, I talked about in Therapies for a Better Me, the process I use to process everything, 101. I talk about this man. I was thinking about him this morning. I met him in Alabama when my sister and I were runaways years ago. This was the year before my dad hurt me. And I mean, I remember things that way. And I remember that guy told me, he says when he walks out of his house, he knows exactly what's going on everywhere. He just keeps a pulse on it. So we have to do kind of the same thing when it comes to these invaders. We have to keep a pulse on it. And we're going to try to minimize all the non-biological invaders first, while we optimize our defenders, while we optimize our nutrition to try to make it so we can defend ourselves against a lot of the biological invaders that can come into us. Looking at the kitchen, this is the main point I'm trying to get here, is the assessment of plastics. You want to start to go through all your cupboards and whatnot and get rid of the plastics and slowly replace the plastics with glass or ceramics. So like down here, I have my glass bowls. I threw all my plastics out. I was thinking about giving it to my daughter-in-law at one point, and I thought, no, I'm not going to give her something that I know is totally unhealthy. So getting rid of the plastics is very important. So like this, using these as limited as possible. And I have thought of ways for my smoothies that I talk about. I was making them in ice cream trays. Well, I came up with an amazing idea. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And I'm going to share that with you in the next, hopefully, couple of weeks. I'm going to try to do it as I go, because that's how I make these videos. But anyway, looking at this, you can see, I think to myself, okay, how can I get rid of this? How can I remove this out of my life? How can I remove it out of my kids' life too? Because allowing your children to have plastics, okay, just any kind. And we'll talk about the classifications later on. I did make a video about plastics in my indoor garden. And what happened was, I never posted the video, I don't think. I actually threw out my whole garden because I was using plastics to hold my vegetables, to grow them. I was using these old distilled vinegar plastic jars and stuff, and it's like, forget it. So I've come up with a different way, and I'm going to start doing that too. But anyway, getting back to the kitchen. When you're going through your cupboards, go through your cupboards and get rid of the plastics. Like that is bad. I hardly ever use that anymore, as a matter of fact. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find something that is glass, which I did. I use these. There's my coffee right here. Got that in here. This is my water. And I've got my coffee and my water. And actually every morning what I do is I take, these are spaghetti jars. And a lot of times you'll find a really nice, they're mason jars beyond what they are, which is great. So I have 16 ounces in here, 16 ounces in there that I've measured with my digital scale. And I have in my diet app that I take 32 ounces of water every day. But what I'll do is, what I don't drink, I'll weigh that and I'll subtract it from my diet. So, makes sense, right? And my coffee, I do the same thing. Any kind of drink, put it into a glass jar instead of a plastic container. You're trying to get the plastics out of your life. And yes, we're going to have to use them, but you sure don't want to drink from them or eat from them. So, looking at your cupboard up here, you can see I've got plastics and they're way up there because I don't use them. I try very hard not to use plastics, and I'm very aware of it. Next thing is like measuring cups. Try to at least replace your liquid measuring cups first. I can't afford a lot of stuff. I'm very poor, but I'm getting rid of all these plastics, replacing them with glass measuring dishes. The next thing I wanted to talk about is things like this. See that? Here's plastic that goes that goes in recyclable. All these, don't use these. Instead, go and purchase stuff like this. These metal, these are better than the plastics. And again, is this completely good? You know, in life, you're gonna get hit by stuff. I personally think these are much better and healthier, and so I'm using these containers to do my measuring. I'm using ceramics, and then the plastics, yes, I do have some, but I'm only using them very minimally to store stuff, and not to store food, just to store clothes and things like that, and trying to minimize as much as possible. And first, think about ingesting. You want to get rid of any type of plastic where you're eating, the utensils, your forks, your knives, your spoons. You want to go in here and you want to get rid of stuff like this. Instead of stuff like this, take and put something like this into one of the side pockets of your purse with a napkin and use that. See this? Is that safe for the baby to be eating off of? So that's the point. Get this instead and alleviate yourself from this. And this is actually not the baby's spoon, by the way. This is just a toy that the kids use, but I'm getting rid of that because this is better than that. Just try to say to yourself, okay, I'm going to get rid of this and this. These are all going in the recyclable bin. And just go into your cupboard once in a while and just say, okay, that needs to go, that needs to go. Mainly, the first thing is to figure out what you're going to drink out of and eat off of. Those are the first things. And then your bowls and things like that. Like here, I've got my salad spinner. That's plastic. People will say, well, that's okay. That's not bad plastic. Plastic's plastic, really. I want to remove it all, okay, as much as possible. Especially the newer plastics, to be honest with you. Because I find the newer the stuff, the more chemicals are in it. Like even the tape, I use packing tape for things. And that stuff smells. I have it out here. This stuff right here, I keep it right here handy. This stuff smells to high heaven. Oh my gosh, it's bad. And that started about a year ago. The boxes got bad about a year ago. There's something in the boxes I'm terribly allergic to, horribly allergic to, and I don't know what it is. I've written to the manufacturers and they're not going to tell me. So anyway, trying to get rid of that. And then the next thing we're going to try to do is look at pots and pans, because what's in pots and pans? Teflon. Right? So we're going to try to minimize this. We're going to try to get rid of that and try to become more aware. Look at this microwave. Do you know in some countries microwaves are banned? That's right. So trying to first go through your stuff, you know, and I'm not perfect. I've got to use things. So like even here, using glass containers to store your food and get the plastics out of there. Don't put any plastics in. Use a metal or glass container or the silver, right? I think that's really good. Then the other thing is talking about the foods. When you buy foods, look at, that's the next step we're going to talk about. Canned goods, right? Canned goods, stuff in plastics. Try to buy things that are actually in glass. And I do try, and it's very tough. Try to get those things, once you open them up, get them into glass. Like I take all my canned tomatoes and stuff, and when I take them out, I actually put them into a container like that. It's just an old container. So this is my canned tomatoes. I'm trying to reduce. I'm becoming more and more aware that subjective focused mindset. That's what we're talking about here. And so just doing that and just thinking about it, you know, like here's my spatula. That gets hot. Is that getting into my food? Probably. My choice is to try to remove it. And this is basically part opinion, but it's also part nonsensical informational, trying to reduce this stuff out of my house and out of my life so that I can live a better life, to become more healthy, optimized. Because if I'm taking in plastics, what is that doing to my body? So the very first thing is just take and write this down, and then take another sheet of paper and just write down, you know, your to-do list. And just as you go through, mark off what you've done. You know, you got through your dishes. Okay, now you're going to go look at this, or just do visuals. You know, once a week, say, okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this week. A lot of things I buy, by the way, are at Value Village or Salvation Army, some kind of thrift store, St. Vincent de Paul's. You can find all kinds of stuff. And actually, that's where I found these. And I have all the set, which is really nice because that's what I'm using. And so anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. And this is, again, not a perfect video, but I think I've given you lots of information today, and I hope that it does help you in lots of ways. There's things that we can do to curb the plastics in our lives and in our kids' life. Lunch boxes. Lunch boxes, containers for the kids' foods. This is what I bought for my grandson. And I remember these when I was a kid. Do you remember them? Little metal. And I actually remember the smell of the metal. These are safer, I think. Personally, that's my opinion. And yes, it is my opinion, but it's based on just doing this research. Find things that are safer for your kids and try to put things in glass. Have them drink out of glass dishes. You know, just teach them to drink out of glass dishes. And actually, I have little tiny root beer mugs and things like that. I think I have them in here. No, I'm using them elsewhere. Where do I have it? Somewhere. Right here. You can buy little root beer mugs. You can buy little glasses for the kids. Or even just use the smaller, like this. Okay? Kids don't mind drinking. Something like this, a small size for now. Have them, you know, make that choice to make that the plastics get out of their life and out of your life too. So anyway, I feel like I'm rambling now. So I'm going to stop the video. Hope you got something from it. Again, please like, subscribe, share with friends and family. Click that notification. And as always, stay safe and stay healthy. And I'll see you again next time here in Lisa's chat room. I'll end it with that. Make each day count.